the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as the ARPANET. Well, folks, it is we who created it. It is we who must hold on to it. It is we who must do what we must do. But anyway, folks, without any further ado, let's pass it on to the geniuses in El Estudio, El Señor Jack Van Beber and Howard Reynolds. And maybe we'll have a little surprise. Go ahead, my brothers.
Well, here it is, the first day of fund drive for our winter fund drive. And,
oh joy!
Well, it's going to be okay. It's you know, Jack. This is how we finance this radio station. We don't get grants from the government. We don't take CPB money or anything like that. It's the listeners that like us so much that they will fund this radio station. So it's a good thing. And we appreciate your support, and we're looking forward to your donations.
Yes, I always clap and get some joy when I hear the donations are coming in. It's always a exhilarating moment for me.
They like us. They really do like us.
All right, Satterfield.
You know, I had my first, one of my panic dreams of the radio station here last night. We're getting ready for this big broadcast, the celebration of life from Bob Weir at Bearings this coming weekend, this Saturday. And I was gathering up equipment, and I was trying to make the equipment work, and Sandy was there. He said, is this thing going to work? I said, well, sure, it's going to work, but I couldn't make it work. Then Jack was calling, hey, you need to come down here and run the board. So I said, well, okay, hold on. So I went to my office to grab my headphones, and there was nothing there. So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to have to go down here and run the board. And so I came down here, and there was no control room.
What?
Yeah. Radio dreams.
Radio dreams, yeah. I've had a lot of those. I call them radio panic dreams, and I'm sure Egberto has probably had some too.
Oh,
where he tries to get his equipment to work. Yeah, every day.
Well, man, I tell you, it can get crazy sometimes when you have all these things you're trying to connect and have working together all at the same time. But we do it, man. We do it.
Well, it's just because we care so much about it and we want it to work. We're facing it psychologically if it doesn't work. It's like, oh my God, no, please make it work. Because if it's something that you don't care about, you don't dream about it.
Well, that's so true, right? That is so true.
All righty then. Jack, you got your, you've moved into the 21st century. You're reading off your phone, so let's let you do that.
All right, this is the paragraph for the summary of today's show. Democracy does not erode in a single dramatic collapse. It frays at the edges through policy changes, concentrated wealth, selective enforcement, and public complacency. Today's program connects the threads. Student walkouts in Houston, congressional accountability, historical warnings from Nazi Germany's study of American racial law, and AI billionaires investing heavily in reshaping Congress. The through line is power. Who holds it, who funds it, and who resists it? All right.
Yes. And what about you, Jack? I mean, don't we have your words of infinite wisdom?
You know, it's fundraising time, and I was a little busy this morning, so trying to get the cans and string line.
Now, what we do have is we have our guest, General Manager Sandy Weinman. So go ahead and punch him up and make sure he's there. Good morning, Sandy.
I hope I'm there.
You are there.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Well, welcome to our winter marathon. And these are essential moments. We're trying to fund KPFT to bring it a little bit further into the future. We're going to be 56 years old March 1st, so we're on a countdown to our 56th birthday. We've got some wonderful thank you gifts this time around, but Moreover, KPFT listeners, on this show, we're trying to raise $175,000 during this drive. That's a lot of money. I keep looking at that going, wow, it's amazing that we've been able to sustain this for so long. And speaking of sustain, our sustainers have gotten us off to a really, really good start on this drive. Again, looking for $175,000. We are but $20 shy of $43,000. We hope to add $500 to the kitty on this show this morning, and really every morning as we go forward through this drive, which will end, I hope, in early March, successfully. And with that, I'll just let you know there's a new vintage 1980s t-shirt that we are offering this time around. And this is a throwback. It's the one with the universe and a little arrow pointing to "You are here," a little speck of dust in the Milky Way. And the reason for radio, KPFT Pacifica. So we've got that as a $100 thank you gift. We have a crawfish boil March 29th. A $75 donation will get you one ticket for unlimited crawfish, a couple of drink tickets, and a pair is available for $130. All of this is on our website, kpft.org, or you may call 713-526-5738, option 1, and make that donation and power us along. Again, $500 goal this morning, and thank you, Egberto, Howard, Jack, for what you do every morning. I'm usually not with you at this time of day. In fact, I'm just barely waking up right about now this time of day. But hey, here we are together, and I appreciate your efforts in getting up early every morning and bringing folks this show.
Thank you very much for that, Sandy. That is Sandy Wyman, or our general manager here at KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Well, folks, those of you that are listening, please remember this. We have a complete show. A lot of times when we start having our fund drive, people say, oh my God, there we go with the radio station in fund drive again. Bye-bye. I'm going to go to NPR or something else. No, 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 no. We have a real show today. Notice for all of you that listen, you normally get the newsletter that tells you all that we're going to talk about. And if you know today's Thursday, which means it is Neil Aquino Day, the founder of Houston Democracy Project. So I am going to do a 30-second pitch before I go to Neil and say this, folks. You saw what happened to the Washington Post. The billionaires decide, well, you know what? We don't want to give you the news anymore the way it should be. We'll cut it by 30%. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm serious about that. That was a favor to Donald Trump and a message to the reporters to say, act correctly. And then we see what happens at CBS as they continuously try to change the content to really appease Donald Trump. That is why we ask you to support independent media. And right now, we're asking you to support KPFT 90.1 FM. This station, we broadcast all over. We simulcast on Substack, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. So we are doing the job of moving the message forward, the truthful message forward. And for those that are here right now, thank you very much. I see that Astedian is in the house. By the way, guys, if you want me to call you out, put your city and state. Like we have Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Joe from Los Angeles, California. We have Carol Sanders saying, I'm passing through. Does that mean you're in a truck or something? And of course, the ones that I recognize on Substack thus far, we have Asterion, of course. We have para ver quién más está aquí que recuerdo. Los Gatos Sin Madrid. I love that name. J.M. Heatherly and many others. Lynette is in the house from Northeast PA. How you doing, beautiful? Thank you for being here. All right, without further ado, we go to the Houston Democracy Project founder with a whole lot of info. How you doing, Neil?
Good morning, everyone. And HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And we are almost up to early voting for your primary, your Texas primary, February 17th through the 27th. And then election day is March 3rd. So if you haven't come up with a ballot or looked through the races, please do. There are a lot of races to vote for, and it does take a little preparation to get the right call. So February 17th to 27th, and early voting is March 3rd. And there are many hot races. I guess the Crockett-Tallarico race is the hottest, and I be happy to hear from anyone who wants to talk about it. I don't really enjoy talking about it because they suck up lots of millions of dollars and a lot of oxygen out of the room, and there's so many more things to talk about. But we'd be happy to hear a call from you from today to talk about it.
713-526-5738. Extension 1 to contribute, extension 2 to speak on air. I want to say something about the Tallarico Crockett race.
Oh
And
man,
this is what I
everybody
want.
does.
Yeah, I know, but let me tell you what I want to say. I want
All
to say
right.
this. We've got two good candidates. Neil is absolutely right. They should not be sucking up the most of the funds right now. Most of the funds right now should be going into the community to activate voters, doing some of the kind of work that Brother Neil Aquino does right now. Democrats, progressives, and thinking Republicans who are going to be voting in that race, don't create animosity over this. If you like one candidate over another, you go with the candidate that you like. Either one of these guys, it's going to be an uphill battle to win in Texas, and each of them have their positives and their negatives with the voter base. Okay, so therefore, please, you don't fight among each other. Go ahead and list the reasons within your heart why you want a candidate and not the other. I've interviewed Tallarico. I've interviewed Jasmine Crockett. I love them both. They are fairly traditional Democratic candidate, left of center. Not as left as I would like, but they're very good candidates, both of them. So no animosity. Go out and vote for whomever you want to vote for.
And I'll tell you, they're not worth.
Go ahead.
They're
Go ahead.
not worth us fighting over either. They're both good. They're both fine candidates, but at the same time, it's not worth it. We got so much trouble ahead. We've seen these school kids organizing themselves for the walkouts. No group is behind that. It's all their autonomous action, and that's the energy. Let's be led by them, and focus on our own. A lot of these candidates come and go, and for all the focus of the Tallarico Crockett race, one of them will be gone in about 15 days or whenever it is, and our troubles will remain.
I love that you said that, Neil, because that is so right. One of them will be gone and our troubles will remain. And our troubles at this point in time are serious issues, are serious, very, very serious issues. All right. Anything else you want to add before I jump to Richard on the phone, Neil?
Well, let me just make an initial join in the chorus here. We're going to have a great show today and throughout the pledge drive, and I'm happy to be here on Thursdays to talk about local issues and whatever you want to talk about. But this is Egberto puts tremendous work into the show, preparation of the newsletter, being up here every morning. This is independent media. It's essential at this time. Egberto is just the person he represents himself to be: friendly, open, cares a lot about the show and providing a platform. So we'd love to have a great first day to the pledge drive, and I always like to make it when I'm here on my Thursdays. I pretty much always have, and I'd like to keep that going. So please do contribute.
That is 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute. Let's go ahead and go to Richard. Richard, how you doing this morning?
Okay, so I just want to tell you, I had a guy pull up next to me on the curb at the protest in front of Cornyn's office Tuesday, and I had a flag, big banner that said, well, it was a street version of fornicate ice, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I
So
do.
he's like, he's just yelling at me. What about the children looking at this vulgar word on this sign? Really, dude? Now you want to talk about children? Give me a break. I mean, you got children crying for their parents in concentration camps. You got kids that were trying to get over being molested and raped and then thrown out like yesterday's trash, and now you want to worry about children. Typical Trump chump. You know what I'm saying? But the reason I really called, well, there's a couple of reasons. Let me get this out of the way. Look, I like Crockett. I love her to death. I like Allred better. I like one of the Castro twins better. I like Beto better than Tallarico. I like winning better than all of it. We proved a year ago you're not going to elect a black woman. That was nationally. You're sure not going to do it in Texas. So I've got to go with Tallarico. But here's what I've been wanting to say to you, Egberto. This is Richard's form of how to talk politics to your friends, relatives, and neighbors. If you can watch this idiot get on the television screen and make a complete idiot out of himself and not think he's an idiot, you're an idiot. If you're still making excuses, playing golf with, socializing with, going out to eat with Trump chumps, you're an idiot. After 10 years of this idiot, if you needed to be inspired by the opposition to vote against this idiot, this megalomaniac, to get out and vote, then you're an idiot. Okay, thank you. That's Richard's version of.
Okay, Richard. I want to respond to you though, because I am one of the things that I cherish with our show is that people can say what they feel and logicalize what they feel and feel free to do so. I know you personally, and I am happy that you can come on my program and really feel safe to say what you think is in a lot of people's minds, that a black woman cannot win in Texas. I am glad that you said that, because that is what I hear from a lot of my friends here in Kingwood that are scared to say it out loud. They come to me, they feel comfortable saying, Egberta, but we have a heart. And let me tell you what my thought is with respect to a black woman winning in Texas. And I'm going to give you a quick little story about Obama. Obama got elected before I think the country was ready to elect a black person based on our history. And I gave this story many a times when I was first a supporter of Hillary. I never thought a guy like Obama could win. And then when we went to Pennsylvania, and they were canvassing, and somebody said, who are you going to vote for? This family, this canvasser went to this home of a white family and said, who are you going to vote for? And the woman turned around and say, tell them we are voting for the N word. I told the first person I told was my wife. That's when I know he was going to win, because at that point their reality superseded their reality, not only financial but otherwise, superseded their prejudice, their racism. I'm going to tell you how I feel about Texas. I feel that people are in such dire straits. Texas is one of those states that the bad from the Trump administration is affecting much more than the rest of the country. We haven't articulated it. Yes, our news haven't covered it yet, for what the pains that the cattlemen, the pains that the farmers and all these others are going through. When that starts to cauterize, I'll call it the Pennsylvania effect, when the guy said we're voting for the N word. I think the Pennsylvania effect is a possibility. And here's what I don't know. I can't know this. We only know this at the polls. Everybody sees Tallarico as a nice guy, the church guy who can who makes them feel a certain way. But they also see Crockett as somebody who fights and will go down the wire for them. I don't know where they're going to drop. If we're going to get the Pennsylvania effect there, where people say, well, I'm going to forget my prejudice. I want somebody who can go and stand up in the face of these crazy people. I don't know. So that's the reason I said vote your heart and don't get that feeling. Some people are scared to tell the truth about what they believe. For you, Richard, I want to say, I know you personally. Thank you for being able to come on the radio and say what you said. All right, brother?
Thank y'all for all you do.
You take care, man.
And
All right,
and
go ahead.
I'm going to say, Richard, I know Richard. So Richard List mentioned the Cornyn protest. So there's a protest at Senator Cornyn's office every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1, 5300 Memorial Drive. That's what he was referencing. It's next week will be the 471st week, and that banner he mentioned that has an obscenity and then the word
Right.
ICE. There's a guy who's been making those. I think he's made 3, and he's just been letting other people use them and have them. They're big banners. I don't know, 6 by whatever they are. It takes 2 people to handle them. You have to put them on a pole for the wind. But the reason I'm highlighting this is, this is all self-driven. That Cornyn protest has lasted for 9 years, no finances. Those banners, this guy is just making them. And if you say, hey, can I just hold on to that and take it to my next protest? Yes. So I just want to continue to emphasize, like the school walkouts and like the funding KPFT needs today, that so much of what we're doing is self-driven. It's us. Maybe there's even an element of unfairness to it in some ways. I know I feel that when Crockett and Tallarico have millions that will go to consultants, be burned. But Richard is in Conroe, and there's a great protest scene in Montgomery County that is all self-driven.
Montgomery County is doing good, including they have somebody running for office now. You and I actually went to
Right.
her event. What's her name again?
Laura Jones.
Laura Jones. Laura Jones, very good candidate running out there. For a Better World says, anyway, that both can get a position to make a difference. I like the way you think about it. For the better way. Cheryl Elkins is in the house. How you doing, Cheryl? Our
Sure.
activist out of Massachusetts is out here. We also have, I'm looking for people who have commentary. Jane B. in North Carolina says that, let's see, punishments are worse than usual. The time of our class was 1 hour only. I hear you about those students. I am so proud of them.
Yeah.
Coming out there and making a difference. Gene Gagel says the number of farmers declaring bankruptcy increased 46% in 2025 compared to 2024, with 315 bankruptcies. That number is only going to get worse. Absolutely. I gave a soliloquy yesterday on this issue. I want you guys to check it out. But I tell you what, we're in Fund Drive, and before any further ado, let's go to our station manager to give a little pitch here. Stick with us. We have a lot more to cover. I want to talk a little bit about Nazism in America. And of course, Bruce, hold on. We're going to get to you. Come on in, Senor Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. And, we first morning of Fund Drive, I said we were $20 shy of a milestone marker of 43,000, and there was Ben and Ruth B. from Deer Park throwing down a $20 bill and getting us to that round number of 43K. But those things don't last long, So we really need a big thank you to Cheryl. I think you just called her out on the air. Cheryl and Michael E. from Framingham, Massachusetts, who threw down a matching gift. In other words, they're going to match the next $500 coming in. So thank you for that. That's an incredible notion, especially coming from Massachusetts on our winter fun drive down here in Houston. Egberto, we truly do broadcast worldwide thanks to the Arcanet. And, people are listening. So thank you for that. And thank you for recognizing the value of this community radio station. 56 years of commercial-free, listener-supported radio is no mistake. And now more than ever, folks, free speech being under attack, as we all know, especially those that listen to this program, and watching the travesty that unfolds with the current administration, not getting the truth, not getting the facts, even the job statistics that came out the other day, you kind of have to close your eyes for a second and ask yourself, is that real? I mean, we all know what we're facing day to day, and the value of this station just becomes increasingly amplified with every moment that goes by. Please do support us. Let's get to our overall goal as fast as we can so we can continue with our regular programming. And for listeners of this program, on Fridays at 10 a.m., we have Progress Texas, now on the air every Friday morning. So they're going to be joining in, Egberto. Back to you,
That
man.
is great.
Thanks for those
Yeah,
donations. $500
yeah,
match on the table, folks.
yeah. Chris at Progress Texas, great guy. I think it's Chris. I can't remember his name. Great guy at Progress Texas. Bruce, I'm coming to you, but I want to back up a little bit and just say something special. First of all, we appreciate absolutely everybody who contributes to keep truth on the air. First of all, that is a statement of fact, and people give within what they can. We want you to give whatever you are able to, this your dispose some a bit of your disposable income. We don't want anybody making a sacrifice like many people have to do when they're in certain types of organizations. But I want to give a special mention to Cheryl Elkins because she is not only a giver, and I know many of you are as well, but look, there are a lot of people with means out there, and they just it's a May with them. This woman is out there. She has brought us great interviews with people making a difference in not just Massachusetts, not just New Jersey, but throughout the country. She has contributed to both Politics Done Right, both programs, and KPFT. And one of the things I want to thank her about is being an example to many, because as she has done, she has given many an example of saying, yes, I am going to support truth as well. So again, many thank yous to you,
Yep.
Mademoiselle Cheryl Elkins. But I also want to say this. Remember, she's given this based on matching funds. So we need to raise that $500. We need to raise $500 as the matching fund for her gift. So again, please give us a call at 713-526-5738 and take advantage of Cheryl Elkins' incentive. Catalyst. Let's go ahead and do it, folks. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Hey, Bruce, how you doing this morning, sir? And yes, I can hear
Good
you.
morning. Good morning. Good morning, Alberto. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Hello? Yeah. My refrigerator went out, and so I'm going to have to wait another week before I do my donation to KPFT because I got to replace all that food and buy another refrigerator. Watching that food go bad, I felt like Donald Trump watching the polls, everything's going sour the wrong way. Talking about Jasmine Crockett, I was kind of in between Crockett and Tallarico until I saw Crockett dealing with Pam Bondi, and that made my mind up. I'm voting for her. I look at the Republicans, brown nosers, like it's a horse race. I see Hegseth pushed to the front, the Nome Duke pushed to the front, but Pam Bondi just did a secretariat run. I mean, that was brown nosing to the extreme. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, my God. But anyway, we'll be sending you money, but it'll be about 8 days from now instead of today. I got to replace all that stuff. But you have a great morning.
Thank you very much for that, Bruce. I really appreciate what you have always done for this station, sir. Good person. And you know what? I knew Bruce was going to have something funny to say because he makes sure to have a little something funny to say every day. Cheryl Sell, we do what we can. Egberto, thank you for your kind words. We are so grateful for you and your show, for KPFT and your community. You are providing an essential connection for those New Englanders to see, hear, support what's happening in your community. Thank you, my sister. Appreciate that. We have Janice Lynette. I wonder, well, that is a communication in between. Lynette says, "Oh my goodness, mine went out yesterday at her fridge. Sorry to hear that, guys. We don't want your fridge to be going on the bunkers." Neil, you have anything to add before I go into my next vlog that I really want to get to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, let me just say this, folks. Uh, a lot of folks sometimes step back, and whenever we make the Nazi references, they go ahead and say, "Well, we are not, it's not gonna happen here." Well, let me tell you something that I learned, and I'll be honest with you. I kind of learned this recently, and sometimes I feel a little bit ashamed that I didn't know it, right? And it says the following: history challenges the comforting belief that authoritarian atrocities could never take root in the United States. The historical record shows that Nazi leaders examined American racial laws
Yeah.
as they constructed their regime. I'll be honest with you, I thought I knew a lot, but I didn't know this story until recently. As I infer on my media program quite often, many Americans continue to believe that what happened in Nazi Germany could never happen here. They treat the Holocaust as an alien horror, something both born of uniquely European hatred detached from our traditions. That belief comforts people. It reassures them that democracy is self executing and that authoritarianism is always someone else's story. But history does not support that comfort. In documented factual ways, Nazis, legal thinkers studied the United States as they constructed their racial state. They examined American law, they cited it, they debated it, they used it. That is not speculation, it is documented scholarship. When Adolf Hitler and his legal architects built that racial framework of the Third Reich, they did not invent everything from scratch. They drew from European anti Semitism, certainly, but they also looked across the Atlantic. The 1935 Nuremberg laws, which stripped Jews of citizenship and banned marriage between Jews and so called Aryans, were debated by Nazis jurists who explicitly discussed American racial statutes as reference points. Historian James Q. Whitman documents in his book, Hitler's American Model, that Nazi lawyers studied Jim Crow segregation laws in the United States, particularly anti miscegenation statutes that criminalize interracial marriage. At meetings in 1934, German officials examined how American states defined race, sometimes with one drop rules, and now citizenship could be legally stratified. Some Nazi jurists considered American racial definitions severe and complex, even more rigid than what Germany initially contemplated. They also took notice of U.S. immigration law. The Immigration Act of 1924 imposed national origin quotas designed to favor Northern Europeans and drastically limit others. Hitler's praised America's ability to use law to shape demographics. He saw in it an example of racial engineering through policy rather than other overt dictatorship. He admired the combination of exclusion and national pride. Let me digress from this a bit. And if you take a look at the things that are actually being done by this administration, racially, socially, etc., you can see some of them of what they're mimicking. You can see the similarities, you can see the context. Continuing, the influence extended beyond citizenship and marriage. In 1927, the U.S. Supreme Court decided Buck versus Bell, upholding forced sterilization of people deemed unfit. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes famously wrote, "Three generations of imbeciles are enough." By the time the Nazis enacted their own sterilization law in 1933, tens of thousands of Americans had already been forcibly sterilized under eugenic statuses. Nazi policy cited these programs as proof that modern states could legally manage hereditary fitness. None of this means that the United States caused the Holocaust. We did not. The extermination of 6 million Jews was a uniquely genocidal crime rooted in European anti-Semitism and fascist ideology. But it does mean something sobering. When Nazis sought legal justification for racial hierarchy, they found precedents in American law. The fact shatters the myth of moral immunity. In other words, folks, it can happen here. It proves that systems of exclusion, one, normalized, can travel. It proves that democracies are not inoculated against authoritarian drifts. It proves that legal discrimination can serve as a staging ground for something far worse. Picture Donald Trump walking down the stairs and saying they are killers, they are murderers, they are rapists, and starting to fixate on that particular issue. And here is the critical point for today. Authoritarianism rarely announces itself as genocide. It begins with narrative. It begins with scapegoating. It begins with claims that certain groups threaten the national survival. It begins with the expansion of policing powers, the erosion of civil liberties, the weakening of independent media, and notice of the weakening of independent media. Thank you, Cheryl, for making sure it can stay strong. It begins with and as well as Ben and Ruth. It begins with the weakening of independent media and the manipulation of electoral rules. It begins with the quiet normalization of cruelty. History shows that the United States has already demonstrated the capacity for legally enforcing racial hierarchy. Remember, we're the king of chattel slavery. We were the king of Jim Crow. We were the king of these things. Now, what are we doing, folks? We're building prison camps under what again? The police called ICE, that is run where? Centrally by the Trump administration. What do you think those warehouses are going to be used later on for? After we've gotten rid of all the brown people that don't have their papers, what do you think these big warehouses are going to be used for? Those people, I gave that whole soliloquy yesterday where I tied ICE, AI, the building of these concentration camps, and many more things together to show we are building the infrastructure. Will it happen? Not if we do our part. Democracy survives only when citizens understand that rights are not self-perpetuating. The guardrails of pluralism, equal protection, and due process requires constant reinforcement, my brothers and sisters. When public discourse tolerates dehumanization, which is what we have started to build with the MAGA movement, notice how they find some way to make it true. No matter what Donald Trump does that it's evil, somehow they can justify it. You mess with kids, you can justify it. You do the wrong, you can justify it. Again, democracy survives only when citizens understand that rights are not self-perpetuating. The guardrails of pluralism, equal protection, and due process require constant reinforcement. When public discourse tolerates dehumanization, when institutions bend to power rather than principle, when fear becomes policy. Look at how the Mike Johnson responded when they said, "Do you think we should really lock up Kelly for telling the military not to do X, Y, Z?" He said, "Oh yes, we need to lock him up. We need to lock him up, not to go against Donald Trump." Many believe Germany's institution would restrain Hitler. They assume courts, cultural norms, and political elites would check extremism. Guess what? They were wrong. Many that we hear says, Trump is not going to do that. Trump is not going to do that. And many of them so far have been wrong. When the Latinos moved over to start voting for Donald Trump, mostly based on Latino sexism, Latino racism. And by the way, yo soy Latino también. So when they did that, they went, that is the same policy they followed. History does not repeat mechanically, but it rhymes when complacency reigns. The uncomfortable truth is that Nazi leaders acknowledge American precedents as they constructed their racial regime. That fact does not diminish American democracy, it challenges it. It insists that promise of equality must be continuously defended. The question is not whether it could happen here. The historical record shows that elements of it, guess what, already have, and it's right back here now. The real question is whether citizens will act early. Folks, that's you. That's you. while democratic mechanisms still function. We still have a democracy. We still do, but they're fighting to eliminate it while democratic mechanisms still function to ensure that the darkest chapter of history remain a warning sign rather than future headlines. Folks, we are in the fund drive mode right now. 713-526-5738 extension 1 to contribute. Last night when I was putting this together, I said, you know what? Am I going to really have the time in Fund Drive to read this whole thing? And I said, you know what? This is Fund Drive. This is why we are trying to fund this station so that we can get more of this message out there, so that Neil Aquino's message can be out there, so that KPFT can be that conduit. KPFT doesn't take positions. Let me just say this. I come on here and say what I want. We can have a MAGA person on KPFT saying what they want. The idea is we have the right, all of us, to have our point of view, and that's why we have to be here. My brothers and sisters, we only have 2 contributions so far. Can you be the next? 713-526-5738. Betty, I'm coming to you, but I need to go to our station manager. Sandy, come on in, please.
Thank you, Egberto. And thanks to those 2 people that have pledged. We still have about 25 minutes to get to our now $500 goal because of that match. We want to get the matching money in. So if you'd be so kind, folks, we have a sustainer program, which has been vital to the operation of this radio station over the last 3 years or so. And we'd like to add to that. I can envision enough sustainers on board so that when we start a drive, it ends virtually the same day. Now, if you're out there and you've never made a contribution to this radio station and you're thinking, well, I turned on the radio and there it is, I don't have to pay for this, it's free. Guess what? You're right. I'm not going to argue with you. Nobody will. It is free. It's there for the public. It's a resource. It's a community radio station. However, it cost us about $60,000 a month to continue broadcast operations at KPFT such that it is, and that is a bargain. Our next closest neighbor in the Pacific universe consumes closer to $100,000 a month. We've cut everything to the bone. We have a very, very small staff. That would be Howard, Program Director Marlowe, and myself, and of course Robin, and a few other contractors that help us power through the days and nights so that we can bring you KPFT. But we're very, very careful with your dollars, very careful. And what we're asking for is what we need to continue operations for the next couple months until we do another fund drive. It's been like that for going on 56 years. It's a remarkable thing. Our phone number is 713-526-5738, option 1 to donate. A Politics Done Right t-shirt is $100. We have coffee and a coffee mug if you so like. I don't know exactly, I should know right off the top of my head how much of a contribution that is. But being so prepared, I can tell you that I don't. $120. $10 a month gets you the stainless steel tumbler. And if you want to amp that up to with a pound of coffee beans, $140 or $11.67 a month. I'm very sensitive to what I pay monthly on all my bills, and I bet you are too, because you got to balance the checkbook at the end of the month. If you hear a thank you gift that you're interested in, apart from continuing these quality broadcasts, break it up into monthly gifts. I mean, $11 these days barely gets you in and out of a coffee shop with a coffee and maybe something to munch on with it. Maybe not. I mean, that's where we are, folks. We don't require much from each and every listener to continue. But if everybody listening to this broadcast right now would just throw down $5 or $10 a month, we would be pretty close to done with this fund drive. That's how stark it is with people that do not donate, that just listen. If you're not in a position to donate, we don't want the money you're going to use to pay your electric bill or pay at the grocery store so that you can feed yourself. We don't want that. But if you have a little extra change, as Larry Winters used to put it, spare change, please throw it our way. You know, $5 a month on a sustaining basis, I don't think is a big ask. In that, if you're subscribing to, say, Hulu or Netflix or any of the other Disney Channel, you're paying at least that or more every month. What we're asking for is that little bit so that we can continue commercial free with your friends and neighbors like Egberto behind the mic, keeping this very local and very, very real. 713-526-5738, option 1, or mouse it over to kpft.org and click the donate button. On that website, kpft.org, you will see all the t-shirts and premiums that we have, thank you gifts that we have, including donated tickets for concerts. And this being the first day of Fund Drive, they're all there right now. As we proceed, the tickets that you may be interested in, they start to disappear as we trundle down the path of Fund Drive, but they're there right now. And some juicy shows up there, I got to say. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Come on, folks. A couple sustaining pledges will get us there. We need you now. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Sandy. Let me see if I got this right, Jack. Am I to thank two people in your message, Jack? Just to be sure. Is Jack there? I tell you what, Jack. Why don't you do
Yeah,
the? Why don't you do the? I want you to
well,
do the honors, Jack. Please do the honors.
okay. Thank you, Betty, for your pledge yesterday, and I just pledged. Who is it? Okay.
You pledged, and then
Joni.
we got one from Ben and Ruth here from Deer Park. They pledged $20 to your show, so we appreciate that.
And I just filled out a pledge form for $200 for the Joni Mitchell CD archive set to kick off the pledge drive.
Well, see, even the people who work here, we support the station. I'm a sustainer. I buy the tickets to concerts. I buy the tickets to the other events. We're sustainers too. We believe in what we're doing here.
And I'm a $25 a month sustainer also.
And he's a sustainer.
Yep.
So there you go.
And I'm a sustainer. I make sure to do my sustainer. That's what we do. That's what we do. But look, thank you so kindly. And I think I have another one here. Let's go to Joe. Thank you, Joe, for your kind contribution from Stafford, Texas. And of course, Cheryl is from Framingham, MA, Massachusetts. And Ben and Ruth from Deer Park, Texas. You guys are all wonderful. Thank you for your support. Betty is on the air. Let's go to line number 1 with Betty. How you doing, beautiful?
I'm okay. Jack and Howard, they threw in my panties for me. You know, I didn't have to throw in my panties to you, because like we always did to Elvis Presley, we threw our panties in. But anyway, they let you know that I did donate to the listeners and to let them know we donate. But I'll say this about the fund drive: to give or not to give. To Alberto, 90.1. Many or big, give and you'll have 9 lives. Love y'all.
Love you, Betty. Betty.
Hey, I don't want to correct Betty in public here, but that was Tom Jones that had all the panties on the stage.
Hey, this is a 6 o'clock show, This is a 6 o'clock show, man. 6 a.m. show.
I didn't say that they were. I didn't say anything about them. I'm just saying that they're there.
You're right. How you doing? Anyway, we have Neil. I see Neil looking up at a screen, so I want to get Neil back into the conversation. Neil, come on in, my brother.
Thank you. Just glad to be here for the. Sounds like we're off to a decent start.
A good start. Yes.
We're off to a good start. A little bit off what I cover, but the apartment inspection ordinance at Houston City Hall. So this is something that Letitia Plummer had proposed, and it didn't move in her time. But they are Martha Kasich Tatum, who's the mayor pro tem, the number 2 official and a district council person, and Tiffany Thomas are doing have taken up the apartment inspection ordinance, and they're going to hold hearings on it. I think on February 19th and March 5th it is, but you can contact them, Tiffany Thomas and Martha Castix Tatum, and the apartment association has been dragging its feet on this, as you can imagine. But if this is something important to you, of course, it's a big issue for all of Houston. But if you live in an apartment that needs could use some city official attention, where you know somebody who does, this process is beginning at Houston City Council, and we want it to have as much force as it can because the apartment association will be lobbying against it. They'll come and smile and say, "Oh, we care." But good prospect, they'll be looking to water it down. They intend to move quickly with it. So contact Tiffany Thomas or Martha Castix Tatum at Houston City Council. And if this is important to you, get involved in the process. There'll be public hearings and I think a relatively swift process to move it forward.
Thank you for that. And I want to give a humongous thank you to Jane B. out of Mooresville, North Carolina. She is one of our wonderful Substack supporters. And in fact, we had a book club over Zoom with her great Indivisible group out there. I want to thank her for that. It was a book club talking about what we need to do to speak to our neighbors and much more. Great group that Jane B has out there in North Carolina. It's great how our connectivity of today allows us to have discourse all over, not only with like-minded people, but with other people that disagree. As if you look at our chat here, we have a lot of people that don't necessarily agree with 100% of what we do, but actually love that we have the ability to interact. Look, I don't have the time to do it because of the time constraints right now, plus Fund Drive, but we have the video with some of my commentary on the politicsandright.com/newsletter with Jasmine Crockett that Bruce spoke about earlier. I think when I spoke about America may just default and say we want a fighter, that may just be the thing. Now, I have another donation that came in here from Alvin, Texas, but it doesn't have a name on it. I just want to say thank you very much from Alvin, Texas. He brought in about half what we needed to match Sister Cheryl's contribution. So thank you so kindly. Neil, you're a good omen. Can I say good omen? Is a good omen
omen? No, as long as it doesn't mean I'm possessed. And I know I was looking at a screen. I've been looking at some stories as we've been on this morning about this Camp East Montana Detention Center in El Paso, and State Representative Ramos wrote a letter to Senator Schumer about conditions there and to investigate it. And I'm reading an El Paso a Texas Tribune story actually about tuberculosis and COVID. And when we talk about Hitlerian policies and all that and where we're headed, this Camp East Montana keeps being a center of terrible stories. And 5,000 bed tent facility built hastily on the Fort Bliss Army base. So that's what I was looking at, and I think that's a human rights abuse ongoing and in the making.
If you remember that sheriff in Arizona was doing something like that with prisoners. Sheriff Arpaio, I think, was his
right.
name.
Oh yeah, Maricopa County.
Maricopa County.
Right.
Anyway,
and that's talk about a story about not voting. There's a big urban county. And he lasted forever. And I would think about him anyway. Very good.
Well, he actually got convicted as well, and I think he got a pardon from Donald Trump, if I remember.
Yeah, he got
correctly.
Convicted, but he was like 85 or something. But justice was slow coming.
Yeah. Anyway, that good matching contribution was from Gene Eigel. Thank you, Gene Eigel, out of Alvin, Texas. He just mentioned it in Substack. Thank you very much, my brother, for that for that contribution. You see, guys, this is shout out. This is Fun Drive is going to be lasting for 3 weeks, but like I said, we are going to bring content every single day, like I did with the Nazi stories. I had some more with that to bring to you, but we'll go ahead and do that on tomorrow and as we move on. But what I can tell all of you out there right now is that we are blessed, whether and this bless isn't from a Christian bless or not from a Christian bless. If you're a Christian, we're blessed. If you're a humanist, we're blessed to have you listening to us, because you know what? We couldn't do that. We couldn't do this without you. Rest assured that you are, in fact, moving democracy forward. And I'm not, this is not milk toast or trying to stroke you or whatever. It is honestly the truth. What I said there about what they do to independent media in that article that I wrote last night, it is true, folks. That is true. That is how they get to us. So, like I said, so far we have about 5 contributors. Can we get a couple more? I think Sandy said I'm going to go about 5 minutes over to 7:05. So let me bring Sandy back in, and then we'll move on from there. Did I wake
Thank you,
Sandy up from
Egberto.
his
Yes,
coffee?
so far this morning. Yeah, you did. You absolutely did. I think you know me very well. It's like, 12 cups in the morning and 3 more in the afternoon, and we're good to go, right? So
Yes,
we
man.
have
Yeah.
consumed most of the match. Yeah, we have consumed most of that matching pledge, but we still have about $100 to go. So if someone out there has a Benji $100 bill to throw down, then we will be at our match that Cheryl and Michael put down from Framingham, Massachusetts, to get us started this morning. Well, after Ben and Ruth chimed in, and you can join in. Again, folks, let's look in just over our shoulder for a moment. Someone told me never look back, especially in radio, never look back. However, I think in this case, we must look back. It's said that a man that mows his yard can look back and see what he's done for the day. Most of us in what we do, it's hard to claim the same thing. Well, here we can look back for nearly 56 years. In 1970, when KPFT went on the air, they had a fund drive. And that fund drive raised enough money to get them to the next fund drive. When the transmitter was bombed off the air twice by the KKK because they didn't like what we were saying, they didn't want free speech on the airwaves, we had just enough money raised to get us back on the air. The second occurrence took a few months to get us there. The damage was so severe. Then we turned the page to 71, and 1971, we had more fund drives, and hey, they were successful. We can look back at this trail of tens of thousands of people contributing to KPFT to get us to today so that you could hear our voice. Now, this is on our shoulders presently. We simply occupy KPFT for a while, and then we pass it forward. I had programmers meetings last week, Egberto, as you know, and my goal and everybody's goal that's on the air is to pass this station forward. But it begins today. It begins on this fund drive. Our phone number one more time, 713-526-5738, option 1 to donate, or kpft.org. And folks, we have that crawfish boil on March 29th. We hope for a large community event. We'll have some music. We'll have a lot of fun. And you'll be amongst what I think will be likely a whole lot of like-minded people, and maybe a few that are just curious enough to join in. And that's going to be at the Knights of Columbus Hall on East Whitney, 601 East Whitney in Houston, ostensibly Airline and 45, just north of the Loop in Houston. So it's a $75 ticket. You want to put your toe in the shallow end? See you at the crawfish boil. And thanks to everybody stepping up. Egberto, you got another donation, and I don't want to talk too long, so take it and thank your listener, please.
Thank you so kindly, Ermina, for your contribution. Again, a regular here at KPFT who constantly makes sure to keep us whole. We appreciate that kind contribution that you have there. Now, Lita Bearcat in Austin says, "Hey, are you doing coffee with Egberto?" Of course, I'm doing Coffee with Egberto. I just forgot to tell you about it. Coffee with Egberto is a $250 contribution. Remember, that doesn't come to me. Everything that you hear coming right now, zero come to me. It all goes to Sandy. Well, it goes to the station. I don't want to give Sandy a bad rap. It goes to the station to keep the transmitter on air. So if you want, just go to the website kpft.org, hit that donate button, and tell them you want Coffee with Egberto, or rather, I think if you search the gifts, there's a Coffee with Egberto gift. But whatever the case is, if you give $250 to KPFT and you want to have hey, let me tell you a dirty little secret. I'd love to have coffee, okay? But that's sort of like a gimmick to for sort of a being a part of the family, right? So I'll drive in a part of Harris County, come out there and have coffee with you, or we meet in some central location to have coffee, and that's a $250 contribution. And many have taken advantage of that. I see a couple in the chat who've taken advantage of that. So it's a good deal, folks, for us to just go out and shoot the bull for a while, etc., etc., etc. Now, this is KPFT Houston. Anyway, let's see. I want to give my brother a chance to close out for me, El Señor Neil Aquino.
Great. Well, great. So, feels like we're off to a great start here for the pledge drive. So glad to be a part of it. I'm at HoustonDemocracyProject.com, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Early voting begins the 17th of February through the 27th, with the primary election day on March 3rd. There is a long ballot. So whatever primary you're voting in, there is a long ballot. Do the work to prepare for it, and appreciate being here and appreciate the support this morning.
And thank you for all the work that you do, my brother. Thank you you're all over the county doing a whole lot of work. Let me close out here with our two brothers in the studio, Howard and Jack.
Well, Jack has gone to make coffee, so there's only one brother here in the studio. And I have nothing to add, but thank you so much, Hermina, for your generous donation from Baytown. And we hope to have more generous donations later on. All right, take it home, Egberto.
We'll be taking it home. Anyway, folks, thank you so kindly. The rest of the show, politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. Email me directly, kpft@politicsandright.com, kpft@politicsandright.com. Look, I love you all. I don't care who you are. MAGA, lo que sea. That's how we get things done together. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how we end this baby. I am what? Out!
And before we get to Democracy Now!, thank you so much for your kind donation, Margaret, out of Chesapeake Bay, Virginia. We thank you so much. We go to
Margaret.
Thank
you.
Oh, okay. Let's go to Democracy Now! In progress on KPFT Houston.
Captured images of Attorney General Bondi with a printout of Congressmember Jayapal's history of searches of the Justice Department's database of the Epstein files, which was just open to Congress members to review. Congressmember Jayapal blasted Bondi on social media, writing, quote, "It's totally